line. Bad bitches, every city in my tribe. Look behind. Booty dominate.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. How old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay. What did you want to talk about?
So I wanted to know your opinion on, do men really want to protect women? Because I do. I do think they want to. I just wanted to know your opinion, if you disagree with.
No, I don't. In the construction of what like protection is, because I don't think that men are talking about male violence.
Um, okay, so in in like marriage, I've read that in terms of violence that women do commit acts of violence just as much as men, or even more, if you look into the violence aspect of that.
If we're going to talk about battery, sure, I can see that within battery that it doesn't matter what your gender is, that discourse can cause violence. But if we're going to look at it from like an overall generalized lens, if we're going to talk about domestic violence, women lose their lives from domestic violence more than men do. When women kill their female intimate partners, typically what we've seen, it's in self-defense, and that can meet legal ramifications. We talk about sexual violence, predominantly that is violence caused by men. And then when we talk about just violence overall, whether that is like homicide or what, it is predominantly men as well.
Okay. I think, okay, I could see that. I think that it's like a very vague like thing, but I think men have like an instinct to want to protect women, be fathers and raise children and have a wife that they can like really protect. Um,
That
I
is
just
not an
think that
instinctual behavior. That is a learned behavior.
in men
And in everybody, that is a learned behavior.
in men, how?
Because you are not instinctually born with the desire to protect other people, which is why we have ideas like tribalism,
Mm-hmm.
that you protect people within your tribe
Oh,
only. You protect people who look like you. You protect only your family, which a lot of men come up here and say, like, if you're a stranger, no, I'm not going to protect you. If it were an instinct, then yeah, they would protect everybody. They wouldn't just protect the people they love or
okay.
know.
So you don't think that men have like an innate just instinct to like provide and like protect, and like women kind of want
No,
to like nurture and like take care of the household?
no, I do not think those are
Do you,
innate. I think those are learned behaviors. What is that clicking?
I mean, I'm just trying to learn. I that's just how I see
What is
it.
the clicking
Like
though?
it's just in them. Well, I mean, like I'm not necessarily gonna like change my. Oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah, but I'm wondering what is clicking. I'm asking you what is the clicking noise?
Oh, the clicking. Click. I thought you asked me what wasn't clicking.
Yeah,
Um, could you still hear it now?
yeah, it sounds like typing. Oh, everyone thinks it's interference. Okay. No, those are not instinctual because if they were instinctual, you would have them regardless. Um,
Well,
if someone taught them to you or not. And no,
well,
what when we
okay.
see with like women being nurturing and women being parents, that's because the patriarchy conditions them to be nurturing. Um,
Okay,
and they prepare them
yes,
for motherhood.
there are learned behaviors. Or could you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so yes, there are like general learned behaviors from like environment, but it just comes down to um a male or female being born. And I mean, like, I just assume that like men just desire certain things and, you know, want to procreate and take care of their families. I don't know.
Well, then why statistically, most often are women and children harmed by their male spouses, family members, and friends?
Okay. I mean, I still know that like people have just like desires and um it's not necessarily like conditioned in their head. Um and I know it varies from like person to person, but I think just like looking at it generally speaking, like men want to like protect. It's just in them. We can't really like control that. Like I don't think it's
You would need
necessarily
to
like
you would need to point to
debatable.
something that would say it's innate. Because I think like under the patriarchy, men have given themselves this role because they want women to submit to them. They want women
Okay,
to need something that men have. So if you are a
yes,
woman in
but
this world,
is yeah, why
I'm
do you
sorry, go
think
ahead.
like submitting sorry, why do you think submitting is wrong? It's just it works if it's done in the correct way.
Because it removes your autonomy, your identity, and your self-determination.
Okay, no, I don't think it does though, because if you're submitting to the correct man who doesn't actively forces you to remove your identity and you still have
You
a
do
life
remove your
outside of
identity.
that.
Like what does
I don't
submit
think
mean?
so. Submit means you're able to give up power to a man and authority.
Right. You yield to their authority and their will. So you
Hmm.
are giving up all your autonomy and your identity and
But
yielding it
why?
to them.
I don't think it's necessarily identity though.
It is if you submit to their
Identity
authority.
is more so who you are rather than like, like
Right.
decision making,
And
right?
who you are has a lot to do with your autonomy as well as your self-determination.
Hmm. So
If
what
you
if,
are someone who likes to learn and your husband
yeah,
says, no, you can't go to school, then that is taking something away from your
well,
identity.
I don't think that, not even myself, like, yeah, I would love to submit to men, but I wouldn't let him tell me
Why?
that
For what?
because that's toxic. Yeah, that's not actual
What do you want to submit to
masculinity.
men for? Do you need men to think for you?
No, I don't think it's that. I just think that,
Do you
the
need
man
men
should
to
be
make your
the
choices for
man of
you?
the household. Um, no, I mean, some of them I think like if I choose a man who I trust would know like the best decisions for me, then yes, I would let him make
Why
certain
would he know
decisions,
that?
but at the same time I would
See,
because I mean, I'm
you're
not
just like, what do you need men to do for you? You said you don't need them to think for you. You said you
okay,
don't
I'm not
need them to make
okay,
decisions for
listen.
you.
I don't need a man to make decisions for me, but if I have questions about some things that I don't really understand. And like I would trust him to make like a firm decision and tell me, give him or him give me his input on it. Um, that's why I would probably choose a man who would be more intellectual than me, smarter, and I would let him make certain decisions.
Are you not able to learn?
Of course.
Then why do you
Why
need to
would it?
submit
Why
to his
would
authority? Like, why you can ask for counsel, sure. We all ask for counsel, but you don't need to submit to their authority or will in order to get counsel.
correct? I just think that it varies. I think like how you see it is, completely taking over like one's life and identity, but that's not the correct way to do it.
Well, what is it then?
If you choose it's the man you choose and allow to lead you.
Lead you
And I
where?
think just in your femininity, you're allowed to, like me, I would
Well, I
be
mean,
allowed to.
where is he leading you to? Can you not find the bathroom?
I mean, it's not really like that. I mean, I think like the way you see it is like kind of like offensive to women, but in a lot of
Well,
ways,
you're
it's
using
not
the term lead,
necessarily offensive.
and lead is either a noun or a verb, and you're using it in a verb context, correct? Like lead a horse to water.
I mean, I don't know. Not sure. I mean, I'd love to learn from you, but
Well, but we're talking about what you
I don't
perceive
know.
as submission and
I don't know.
as
I mean, like
leading.
I think I just think you're thinking of it in like a toxic way, but I mean, there's just a correct
Well,
way to do it.
you're supporting
If I'm
a very
choosing,
harmful narrative that women need to submit to men, which I do take issue with,
okay,
because women are autonomous,
okay,
capable
so
beings who possess their own identity and have the capability to make their own choices, and we don't need to link arms with a man in order to find happiness, success, fulfillment, so on and so forth.
mhm. I think, I mean, yeah, I think independence is great up to a point. I think women, we're just social creatures, and I think it's harmful to be overly independent and force a narrative of women to, or even say, like, to
What do you mean
me, that
overly
it's like
independent?
oppressing me. Um, over independent to the point where you think men are not important and you can just operate without them because we can't.
In what context?
We can't live without each other. We can't do it. Because
In what
even
context?
though I see, okay, in multiple contexts, like one of them, okay, there are psychological effects of a man not being physically present with you, even if, well, you want to say not, like we can even go deep into like fathers. I mean, I my father left for like a year, and I already, suffered like the effects of that later on in my
Well,
life.
sure. I think the
Um,
abandonment of a parent can have negative effects on any child, and I would argue that the same is true for a mother.
sure,
What
sure.
I'm talking about in
Mhm.
terms of society and
I don't
how
think
we
it's not abandonment.
okay.
I mean, like I knew where he went, but he didn't like
Oh, okay,
abandon
I'm
me. He
sorry if
just
I
went to
mischaracterized
another.
it. What I'm talking about is in order for women to exist under the patriarchy, there are a lot of social
Hmm.
conditioning and a lot of structures that have been put in place where it's viewed that women's optimal outcome is to link arms with a man. If she wants protection, she needs a man in her life, whether that is brothers, a father, a husband, so on and so forth. So women
Why
who
is
do
that
not,
wrong? I mean, we don't need it. I just
because then
think
you are
like what's
dependent on men.
wrong
If
with
you
wanting
don't
that?
have, because if
Why?
you, I'm trying to answer you, because if you don't have men in your life, then you'll experience violence. Is that what you want?
Not
Yeah.
violence, but
You won't
it's
have someone
just
to protect you, right? So then what? Are you not worthy of protection?
okay, would you want your daughter to like grow up without a father, masculine authority to like protect her? Do you not find that
I
important?
don't consider
Do
that to
you
be her father's role in terms of his major role is to protect outside forces, because I would give myself that role as well.
Okay, so you
And
would take
yes,
on.
statistically, he's more likely to abuse her than need to defend her.
Okay, when men say they're independent, it's nobody really questions it. But when you say you're independent, who are you independent from? Men. You have to take on that role.
Right, because women have been prescribed a role in a society to where they need to be
Why is it wrong?
codependent.
We've always
Because again,
operated
it
that way.
robs us of our identity and our autonomy. When men
Okay, but
decide,
now we have
one second,
freedom.
you
Okay.
answered a question. You asked a question. When men make choices within their lives. They are not criticized if they choose to go and get educated, if they choose to have a career, and if they opt not to have children and a wife. They are called bachelors. They are called independent. They are called career men, bosses, CEO. Men are revered for that kind of stuff. But women, when women choose those things, we are called cat ladies. We're told we're going to be lonely. We're told we're going to regret our decisions because women's identity is so much structured around being a wife and a mother. So that's a way
Mm-hmm.
that it has robbed us from aspects of our identity because it's made women a monolith to where we necessarily don't get the privilege to dream of what fulfills us outside of relationships and parenthood.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I somewhat agree with that, but I think that women do have the freedom to do whatever they want, but now like this is kind of why I'm not really like a quote unquote feminist anymore is because yes, we have all this freedom, but we're not necessarily using it in the correct way. Because we see like an increase in like I don't know how you feel about like sex workers, but I mean I statistically those women are just not happy. Um, and even though yes, maybe you don't agree that women should be under men, but statistically they're more happier even if they had somebody above them. But
Well, it
I
really
I just
depends.
think like
It really
we're not
depends.
really
So, women who are
centering.
conservative and Christian typically have happier outcomes because essentially they think they're fulfilling a role that God has given them. But if we look at women overall, there has been studies released that show that women are happier actually being single and not having children. And that's because of the second shift. Because in current society, women are working just as much as men when it comes to paid labor, but women still have the burden of unpaid labor, which is child rearing and taking care of the house. So while men enjoy leisure time, women have a second and third job being a wife and a mother. And many women,
Mm-hmm.
including myself, who have been married and then get divorced and live by ourselves, report being happier because we have less work to do, because we are essentially taking
Do
care of
you
another person. So within our current society, the way that relationships and marriage is structured is that it does benefit men at the expense of women. And so, what I would argue that feminism is doing, especially when it comes to women not needing to submit to men, is creating to where we don't have to participate with men in order to get access to things, that we want to participate with them because we feel they're a compatible, supportive, loving partner. If you
okay?
want literature, there is literature that this book that I read, Women Have Better Sex Under Socialism. Do you want better sex? I know I want better sex.
Okay, so I get that. I mean, okay, I just think why, okay, you can do whatever you want, cool, but why make me feel shame for wanting to live like more traditional?
Because I think there are a lot of harmful gender roles that you are appealing to that you need to deconstruct. If you are propagating that women should submit to men as a positive, I disagree with that, which is why we would have a
Okay,
conversation
here's
to understand each other's logic. I'm someone who got married. I got married. I had children. I did what was the quote unquote traditional thing. It's not the choices. It's the reason why we're making those choices. If you want to be a mother, if you want to be a wife, that's fine. The
Yeah,
point
okay. But
is that that should not be our identity. We should have the social freedom to choose something different.
you know what
And
I
if
think
no
it is?
longer our marriage is working out, we should have the liberty to be able to leave that relationship. And
I'm
even going back to your
Can I say
sex worker
something?
comment, I would
Can I
argue
say
that that's
something?
an exploitation of women under capitalism, which is why I think a more social an organization and a governance of socialism would be more beneficial for women as well as men, because then we could live individually if we wanted to. We wouldn't need to be forced to live within the family unit,
Okay, can I
because
say
many people
that?
stay together because they can't afford to be apart.
Okay, if I am happily married, I stay at home, my husband makes enough money to fully support me, himself, my children. I'm able to have my identity. I'm able to say, what I choose, and I'm able to have my hobbies and, my dreams. What is wrong with that type of
You
lifestyle?
have put
I
yourself in a
still,
position to where if the relationship ends or the relationship becomes unhealthy, that you do not have options to leave, which is why
I
alimony
do though.
exists. Like, you realize that feminism was born out of domestic violence because women had to link arms with men in order to have access to housing, to a income, and then even when men became abusive and they tried to leave because they were taking care of children, because they were taking care of a husband, they didn't have access to money to do so. So
I don't think the
it's under this
actual
structure.
problem is,
Go ahead.
I don't think the actual, or let me just say this. Do you think there's, like, I used to, like, agree with everything you said, but when you look at just how we're wired to be, and, like, for example, I think there's a reason why men are physically more stronger than us.
I think, well,
And it
if you
would
want to
make
say that,
sense.
I would just say women are smarter.
Anyways,
And
so
we should just put men
if,
in the fields because they're dumb, and women should lead everything.
okay, well, so you don't think there's like a reason why men are physically stronger than women?
Well, obviously it's like body
Because your
composition and
argument,
makeup. Yes, but do I think that we need to organize society based on based on biological differences? No. A majority of like people in society do not participate in a physical manner.
hello.
Hello.
Oh, sorry. I moved areas because my Wi-Fi was bad.
Okay.
Could you repeat what you said? What you said right now?
I don't think how we should organize as a society or how we should socialize should be determined based on our biological differences.
Okay, well, I think we've really done that. I mean, we gave women the independence and like the freedom. But I just don't think they're using it in the correct way.
Why? Oh, her account satire. Okay.
Um,
I'm bored
for
anyway.
example,
Thank you.
I'm so fucking cute, bitch.